The Visitor, How and Why He Stayed #1. Story by Mike Mignola and Chris Robertson. Art by Paul Griss, with colors by Bill Crabtree. December 23rd, 1944. The night Hellboy appeared. In the shadows, a mysterious soldier sees and walks into the woods. He turns into the guy on the cover and tells his superior on a spaceship far away that he could not kill the Great Destroyer, for he is just a baby. His future is uncertain, as he is as much his mother's child as he is his father's. The Visitor says that he will stay and watch the boy grow, and if he's wrong, he will not hesitate to correct his decision. And that's what we see. We see a montage of Hellboy's youth as the Visitor watches. So I'm a Mike Mignola fan through and through, though I think it was late 90s when I first read Hellboy, and eventually I'll do a comic a day for the series when I can afford it. But anyways, so way back in 1994, Hellboy was introduced into the comic scene, and in that very first volume, Seed of Destruction, we got, I think, a single panel or two of a random alien spacecraft. So it's only natural that, 20 years later, we finally get a follow-up to that? Hey, better late than never. I mean, the Third Summers Brothers storyline took longer and barely got a shrug sort of resolution. But that's not how this plays. I'm actually at a bit of a crossroads when it comes to this comic. The setup is great writing-wise, and the art style is very much in tune with what has become the standard look for Mike Mignola's Bombshell series, so there's really not a lot to say other than if you are a fan, you will probably totally need to check out this series. However, and this is why this is going to just be a quick video of, hey, this is a thing, buy it if you like it, if you come into this fresh as though this was your very first ever experience with Hellboy outside of the movies, you'll probably be at a loss. A lot of the depth in this comes from knowing who Hellboy is, and part of that stems from the fantastic series that has come out relating to Hellboy. The Visitor is actually fairly complex in his inability to kill a helpless child as well. So let's get into the gritty of this with the verdict. My verdict on this is going to be a bit more critical because I loved the writing, which gave us a good look at Hellboy and the alien, plus an interesting twist on how he never thought that the Great Destroyer could be a force for good on his own. However, it's sort of an it's okay for non-Hellboy fans. Actually, because I was so interested in this, I had Criff from Bard and Criff Vlog, as well as my guests throughout Dark Tower Month on A Comic a Day, take a look at this, and while he said that it wasn't bad by any means, getting the crux of the story as well as finding the characters easy to identify with and establish a rapport with to some extent, he and I both agreed on this verdict. The verdict is definitely read it, with an asterisk. God, it feels like February has been the month for asterisks on my verdicts. If you are a fan of Hellboy, this is definitely worth a buy, and even if you aren't a fan, you should at least check out the Hellboy comics, because there's honestly a reason that it has such a fan base at this point. So read it means that it's worth the read, and buy it means that you should go out and buy it immediately. And with that odd ending, that's all for this episode of First Issues Now. If you agree with me that this was a great comic, or if you think that it was a pointless addition to answer a question no one was asking, leave a comment below. Don't forget to check out my other channels, ComicSins, where I tally the sins and wins of a random comic, and A Comic a Day, which is just wrapping up Dark Towers month right now. Like the Archivist Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, and pledge to our Patreon for some exclusive vids like unedited versions of A Comic a Day, or being able to choose the next ComicSins. And remember, stay golden, Inklings!